So we have about 185,000 customers in market that have completed installs that are abandoned that we're reaching out to on a daily basis.
And you're reaching out to them for the express purpose of offering service or follow-on business. What's the goal?
They're abandoned. They need someone to help maintain their system long term.
Welcome back to Suncast, and thank you for giving us the only non-renewable resource you've got. That, of course, is your time. I'm Nico Johnson, and my promise today is that I'm going to take care of that time for you. I'm going to invest it with you into a conversation that you are going to be so glad you showed up for, especially those of you who routinely show up to Suncast because you know that we're interviewing founders on the front lines of the clean energy transition, and you are harvesting gemstones of value from those conversations to apply to your own career, your own business. You know, every once in a while, you meet somebody who's not just building a company, they're building the category the rest of us didn't even realize was missing in the industry. My guest today, Nick Sherman, is the CEO and co-founder of EnergyAid, the company that he refers to as the Roto-Rooter of solar. While most of the industry chases installs, Nick has made a big bet that service will become the true growth engine, and I think he's going to be proven right for what it's worth. Also, should be noted, EnergyAid is picking up many accolades, number 6 on the Inc. 5000, posting more than 14,000% growth. We'll get into kind of how he engineered that over the last 3 years. And he's literally doing that, rescuing orphaned solar customers, turning abandoned systems into a $9 a month membership model, scaling one of the fastest growing clean energy service teams in America. I can promise you there are few that I've been as excited about doing an interview during a pre-interview. And Nick graciously gave me what felt like probably 45 minutes or an hour. This was supposed to be 20 minutes. And today we're going to break down the playbook, how Nick buys into the existing, let's call it books of business in the industry, how he's unifying tens of thousands of systems under proactive monitoring and racing to become the first national brand in solar service to rescue all of these orphaned residential solar systems. Stick around. I think this one will change the way that you think about the future of residential solar. Welcome to Suncast. Well, Nick, I hope I didn't set the bar too high. I genuinely do believe everything I just said about you, and I'm so excited that you're finally taking a moment to slow down and sit down and chat with us here on Suncast.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, Nico, and enjoyed our conversation last time we got together, and excited to talk to your audience.
Indeed, man. So I want to, before we get into the numbers, and I have a feeling like last time we talked, I just was blown away at how detailed you understand the economics, the unit economics of the business, but also how your business is about fixing some of the broken parts. What was the moment that you realized service could actually become the dominant business model in solar?
So I started in 2006, and I've been in all aspects of this business, and I'll kind of just simplify it. I started as an inside sales rep for a couple of years. I then moved into operations for some of the first EPCs in 2008, 2012. Then started my own business. That turned into me getting into the roofing side of the business, selling directly to the top installers. Turned into another stint with an EPC who was bringing their own sales in-house. And over the course of that, somewhere around 2019, 2021, the service side of the business became more clear. And our investment thesis when we opened doors in late 21, October 1st, was one, we believe this is service as an acquisition model long-term.
Yeah.
When everybody has solar, when everybody has batteries, that customer base gets acquired through good service. And that looks very much like the rescue router you mentioned, Roto-Rooter, right. ARS, the typical plumbing, HVAC restoration models, typical service models. I wouldn't say necessarily all emergency service, but fast-paced service models. And as we get more into the VPPs and more dependent on on-site storage and production, it becomes more and more emergency service. You go to Puerto Rico today, they will call it emergency service.
Right.
We also believe that solar is not going anywhere. I think if you kind of look back in the 1900s of DC and AC power and how that transitioned to every home and office building over the course of 100 years, we believe that solar and batteries are making that same transition over the course of the 2000 decade or century. And we believe there's 100K plus per home. Very obvious the roofing side has moved into the solar home model. You're kind of doing your roofing and your solar at the same time. But beyond that, I look at those as kind of the cross-pollination opportunities. just solar and battery, we believe, is going to 100K per home. And the number one driver of that the next 5-10 years is his and her car chargers. I keep throwing out the number of 1.7 per home. It probably is going to marry up exactly with what the marriage ratios of single family homes versus, multifamily homes are. Because if you don't have a EV car charger, you're probably getting divorced for both of you. There's probably some ratio on that. If you have one EV car charger, your divorce rate's double.
Yeah.
So we believe that the EV car chargers are driving up what used to be, when we first started in this industry, a $25,000 solar system, or used to be an $80,000 that went down to 25.
Totally.
Depending on how far back you go. And then turned in today of a $40,000 solar battery hybrid package. You see the sun runs of the world starting positioning homes for the future consumption needs. I believe it's, double the consumption, maybe even more we have coming. And the two drivers, once again, are EV car chargers and AI. AI, I think, is dramatically underestimated in the amount of consumption electricity we're going to have. I won't get into the details of that, but those two alone, I believe, should easily double or roughly double the home consumption. So now you need a 50,000 solar. Now you need 50,000 in batteries, and then you get into roofing. Then you get into all the other stuff you can get. It's more than 100K per home.
Nick, I want to peel back the layers here, thinking about the preparation that sort of helped create EnergyAid. You gave us a little bit of the background, 20 years in the industry. You and I started both in the summer of 2006, Gencell to peak power to even your own roofing venture. When you look back over that period of time, what are the threads that connect all those experiences to the insight that helped you form EnergyAid?
I think doing a little bit of everything. I've actually, I was on Varango's very first install myself, me and one electrician from a company called Stoutenberg Electric. So it was the only install I've ever been on. So, I did site measures for a period of time. I did CAD design. I built the electrical. I have an electrical license in California and Arizona now, and a partial one in Nevada, and a solar license in California. So learning kind of every bit of the industry. I went and sold in-house for a period of time myself for about 3-4 years. Then I was a subcontractor to the industry. So I kind of learned both sides of the fence on majority of the industry by not just doing one portion of the industry. So in operations and sales, if you look at the org chart, I've kind of touched everything. And now through EnergyAid, I'm learning more about the accounting side and gap compliant and P&Ls and all the other stuff that has to go into run a business. So I think one of the things that kind of got us here was I understand the product because I've done every aspect of it, and I understand the cause and effects of the other departments based on what you do in one department.
When you talk about the Roto-Rooter of solar and the need for having a service model that treats homes like these assets not only are going to be built upon, but they are going to need service. You and I both remember the day when we swore to homeowners, like, no moving parts. You'll never have to think about it. These systems will never, ever break. We know that's not true. So I'd love for you to get into some of the detail around what actually physically needs fixing, like some of the data that you uncovered as you started digging into failure rates and kind of the actual service part of the service model, but also what do you see in the business model of the industry that kind of needed fixing where you are adapting a new sort of pioneering category?
Well, I talked briefly about kind of the investment thesis of the business. One of the largest drivers, once we kind of understood where this industry was going, was that there wasn't much competition short term. So you had, the way I kind of analyzed it or explained it was we had 10,000 contractors nationwide focusing on the 95% of single family dwellings who don't have solar.
Yeah.
And maybe some portion of that started to focus on adding a second system or batteries to it. But no one was really focusing solely on the 5% that already had solar.
Yeah.
So we believe there was an undersaturated market opportunity to be first to market. The B2B side and the relationships we had over there really helped us grow the business and build the product.
Right.
But the B2B and B2C business from a service side is very different. On B2B, we're looking at billable hours in a 40-hour period as the main metric. On B2C, it's conversion rates, it's speed to present. So one from booking to presented time. Conversions are everything, marketing cost, And then 5-star customer experience and how you retain those customers and lower your marketing costs long term. So the metrics are different. They're two different businesses, but it's leading towards kind of this constant progression of where we started and where we need to end up. Where we need to end up is the technicians need to be in the house selling service themselves and fixing more than 70% of it same day. So that is very much the plumbing HVAC model. And we are transitioning towards that and don't do a perfect example of that yet, but part of our natural progression.
Was there ever a time in the business, we had PowerAid before, where you were focused on actually kind of doing the same old business model of installs?
2012, when I started the PowerAid business, that's exactly what we did. And then by 2016, I had my Canvas. I had a great story about my 8-person Canvas team went down to 4. And then in a 1-week period, they had $210,000 in bail and $200,000 of revenue. So their bail beat revenue by 10,000, and that was when I was done. Yeah. So we had guys flipping tags in our company vehicle at Target. Police showed up at the front door going, "Is this your vehicle?" So a lot of that kind of wasn't intriguing to me long term. I felt like there was more opportunity, and transitioned to me doing a lot of the. I had a few different roofing contractors that I was partnered with, and we were doing up to 400 roofs a month, partial roofs a month for about 10 different top installers. That was kind of the next transition. I think I was probably the top roofing individual sales rep in the state in terms of volume, but maybe nationwide at one point.
And that was on homes that were going solar.
Yeah. So, the
amazing
picture any of the top 10 guys in the market, they were having subcontractors that they needed to do partial roofing work on underlayments, bad felt that was going bad. So what's the cost for 20 squares of new felt? Well, that's $9,000.
Yeah.
So I'd give them a quote, and I had a whole automated process where I was sending out like 50 to 60 quotes a day. And I was getting RFQs from 10 different of these installers. And based on territory I was managing, I was basically an employee for 2 different roofing subs in different areas. And I would just sit in my underwear at home all day doing quotes.
Amazing. Doing lead gen, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. I was selling roofing from my house.
That's amazing. So it's clear to me that you are both a systems thinker and an origination machine, as it were. And I think that's one of the areas that I want to drill down, because not lots of folks have thought about the service side of the business. Most folks, I'd argue, who've made a go at this, we've talked about some privately, that built pretty significant businesses, looked at residential as really just too hard to manage. And so they focused on C&I or utilities. I'd say that's where most of the sort of scar tissue is, as it were.
Yeah.
You've been able to scale faster than really anybody else in the industry. I mentioned number 6 on the Inc. 5000 overall. I want to break down actually, what's working for you behind the scenes. And that growth engine that impressed me is one of the early bold decisions that you made around customer acquisition. You talk about the strategy to buy IP, what that looks like, who the companies were, and how that process actually works.
Yeah, it's you've got all these different forms of bankruptcies, Chapter 7s, 11s. I think there's a 14. There's a bunch of different ways that people can shut down their business. Some don't even go through bankruptcy in that period of time. I learned a lot about the bankruptcy process and how you have to go through trustees and how they have to have a notice to creditors and how you have to actually, in terms of Titan Solar Power, which was the biggest one we did, I actually sat in a virtual courtroom and there was a live auction that happened. That was and the judge went 1, 2, 3 sold. And I didn't know judges did that. So she didn't do it like full pace speed, like they're selling cattle in Oklahoma or anything. Yeah. It wasn't auctioneer speed, but it was still, which I think made it more tormenting too, having to go that slow pace versus the guy going quick. And it's like, dragged it out.
Twice, yeah. Actually, where did you get the idea from that you should be thinking in this way? Like, that's a bold move, in my opinion, for origination, is to go buy a bunch of stranded assets of companies that are going bankrupt.
It's very common in other industries. I've found out kind of after we started doing it. It's very sought after, heavily sought after, and the point where like the Titan acquisition we paid, it's public knowledge, we paid $65,000 for that.
Wow.
We had probably 3x in legal to get to that.
Yeah.
But the actual purchase of that, I mean, this is a company that had over $1 billion in revenue one year. In fact, they had 6.6 billion in bookings and about 4.3 billion in revenue over the 12-year period, or 10 or 12-year period. So this was a very
Wow.
large business. I mean,
Yeah.
this business was, I think, larger than Freedom Forever at one point.
Yeah.
They did over 105,000 completed jobs. They had about 85,000 canceled jobs. They had 109,000, customers who signed a contract. And they did that through basically a traditional EPC, which is, they got up to 430 crews at one point. We have some of the Titan members. Thos Porter, who was the license holder, is our VP of engineering over here. And Jack Walker, who's our VP of business development, ran before he went to Energy Service Partners, was over there for a bit.
Yeah.
So we know that team very well. A few of them work for us, and we kind of get the back path. That helps obviously in trying to figure out how's the data going to look and what we're actually going to get. I always have this saying: there's reality and intent.
Yeah.
My intent is to go buy customers. The reality is I get a half a customer.
So your goal with that, by the way, was to acquire a list, basically, of existing solar installs.
Yeah. So in Titan's circumstance, we bought the website. So if you go into Titan Solar Power, you'll get a direct link to our website, and it talks about EnergyAid taking over. We bought the phone numbers. We bought the social medias. We bought the intellectual property, which was all of their privacy policy opt-in rights for all the data. We actually bought their complete CRM and database, which we ended up not using as much. We thought we were going to use the Permian database more, but those were the primary assets we bought. Yeah. In terms of Solcius Sunworks, and I say Solcius Sunworks because Sunworks bought Solcius about a year or two before they went under. Same thing. We didn't get the websites. We didn't get the phone number. We did get the social medias. We did get the intellectual property, the data rights. Then you go into Arcadia Solar, which is had 10,000 customers. I mean, they were half the size data wise of Solcius and Sunworks residentially. They just didn't report like most of the big guys do. But Arcadia Solar, they were pre-bankruptcy. He never went out, never closed doors. That didn't have to go through a Chapter 11 proceeding. And on that one, there was a lot of cash loan in there. Titan was a ton of cash loan. So you go in, you're trying to figure out, what has TPO, what has cash loan, and trying to figure out buy those products. And then how's the data look? So when Titan's data was just phenomenal. Like it was just laid down a platter for us versus some of the other ones we've done. We've had to do weeks of data cleanup. And then you add another 10, 15, 20 grand on that with all the data cleanup you're having to do. So we understand at this point what questions to ask, what companies to go for. We understand who's too small and who's too big for us for our time. Right. And it's leading to other ideas on how we acquire abandoned customer base, like permitting data and stuff like that. We bought Suntuity. That was a pretty easy, quick one for us. Yeah. About 20,000 customers on the East Coast. We're not utilizing as much of that yet. We are starting to brand the social medias, which has about 20,000 LinkedIn followers. So we bought like 65,000 LinkedIn. We're rolling that into our Free Solar Friday cadence, which is our branding, where we go out every few weeks and we fix a solar system for free, which we believe really, really helps the industry in general, and helps us from a brand perspective as well, obviously. We do it, one, to help people, and two, it's become kind of the culture of the business. So the hardest part, kind of going back to the bit, we were lucky enough early on, the first year or so, to get a ton of work from SunPower and Sunrun because of relationships. Right. And then that was like 2022 story. We started B2C middle of 22, kind of thinking we want to be in B2C to grow customers as well. We were giving SunPower and Sunrun too much control of our business because they were like 75% plus of our work. Well, our next goal was to deleverage, like any business should. When you have too much in two partners or one partner, we got to diversify. So we started diversifying B2C, more B2B partners. Then we get into early 2023, and NEM 3.0 has a huge spike up. We get a ton of work in Q1 of 23. And in Q2, it went like this. It was like the financial crash of 2008.
Of solar installs, or like what?
So everybody was figuring out for the last 3 quarters of 23 how they can keep their good employees in-house. So they stopped subbing work out and they brought it back in-house. Right. So the subcontractors just took it up both sides.
Yeah.
And we went from 500 with SunPower and Sunrun combined work orders a week down to about 100 between the two of them.
Wow.
So we dropped 80% of our B2B business roughly over like a 6-month period.
This is as EnergyAid?
As EnergyAid, yeah.
Right. Doing service work for these organizations.
This is 2023. So we doubled up kind of early middle of 23 into B2C. And then that led to kind of these companies going out of business in early 2024.
Right.
And we said, how do we take advantage of this? How do we get to those customers? And then we started to figure out how we got to basically buy the assets, intellectual property. You don't want to buy the business. You don't need to buy the business. You don't want the liability. And then all that. And to this day, we still get like 10 Titan lawsuits a week.
No way.
And they're all from like 2 different agencies. We're just trying to do class actions. I don't know if anybody's ever told them they're probably not getting any money from it, unless they get it from the fintechs. But yeah, we get like 10, and we have templates to respond to them. We are not Titan.
Yeah.
Please refer to this link. We did not buy the liability. Stop calling us.
Yeah.
We're happy to help you service your system. But there's just a lot of misconception in the market. So we get into kind of 24. We start buying all this stuff. And now we kind of roll into 25. Titan happened late 24. We started to buy Solcius early 25. Suntuity like April, I think at 25. We're still looking at buying more. We've completed, I think, 7 APAs to date. Those are the bigger ones.
What's APA?
Asset purchase agreement.
Okay. Yep.
So between all of the APAs, we've acquired about 550,000 data points of opt-ins that we can with privacy policy we can reach out to.
Right.
We've also acquired about 210,000 completed systems.
Right.
Of that, about 145,000 are in market. So we have about 185,000 customers in market that have completed installs that are abandoned that we're reaching out to on a daily basis. We believe that's about a quarter of the market in California.
And you're reaching out to them for the express purpose of offering service or follow-on business.
Yeah.
What's the goal?
They're abandoned. They need someone to help maintain their system long term. So our business model is really turned into, we talked about kind of the billable hours in a 40-hour period, and 5-star experience on the B2B side. Speed helps too a little bit there. That was kind of the primary metric into the B2C side's now quickly moving towards 80-90% of our business. And now it's kind of a 4-funnel prong effect where like, here's our funnel of how do we grow the business. The first layer is data.
Yeah.
Right. We need to get as much data that we can get in that we know is abandoned. We need to drive down the cost. We need to increase the conversions of that data. We need to get more. And data for us is, more access to monitoring, more access to customers who allow us privacy policy to reach out to them. It's new leads weekly that we have coming in.
Yeah.
So all new data of abandoned customers that need our service. That's kind of the first layer. Second layer is monitoring. One of the things we realized very early on is that there is a demand creation issue in this industry, as most of the cash loans are very dramatically underserviced, versus the third-party ownership are serviced very well. So let me give you an example. A third-party ownership, this is from one of the top CEOs at one of the top lease companies. They get an alert every 3 years. And it makes sense from what we've seen. So the average TPO lease PPA gets an alert every 3 years. We have over 90,000 monitoring systems nationwide that we're monitoring from a cash loan perspective today. We're seeing about every 8.5 to 9 months that customers get it. So like 4x the frequency of alerts. So real simple math. They're being serviced at 4x less the speed, roughly, right? So the lease assets are being serviced very well in the market. They always have a home. When SunPower went bankrupt, SunStrong took over. When Sunnova went bankrupt, SunStrong took over. When Clean Power Finance went out, Spruce took over. When ADT went out, Spruce helped them out. Like there's plenty of asset management and growing. And if Freedom Forever or something goes out, Sunrun will take over those and manage them. So like there's plenty of service and long-term service and reason to service long-term on the third-party asset. There's value there.
Yeah.
That's why they'll continue to service it. On the cash loan, one, those assets have never really been serviced well unless you look at a Sunrun of the world. And that may be honestly one of the handful, maybe less, that actually service and proactively monitor their cash loans properly.
Yeah.
Right. And what I mean by that is I highly doubt that more than 1% of existing cash loan homeowners, I'm just throwing this number out here,
Right.
ever got a call 3 years later saying, "Hi, Mr. Johnson, I noticed you had about a $4,000 issue at your home. You mind if I come out and fix that for free
Right.
in my struggling business right now?"
Yeah.
Right. So, we're actually, I believe, offering them a service, ties into kind of the membership conversation here in a minute.
Yeah.
We're offering them a service that we believe is better than they had. We've got a lot of people getting true up bills because their systems aren't working. And we believe we can help them maintain long-term.
So the layers were data and then monitoring. And you said there are, I think, 3 or 4 layers.
Yep. Next is membership.
Membership. So before we get to membership, I want to stick with monitoring for a second. You get hundreds of monitoring alerts a day. I'd love to unpack the tech stack as a business that you had to build to sort of integrate what is a lot of variance in both technology and the hardware side, software. Everyone since 2006, when the CEC started requiring monitoring as a part of the California incentive, that everyone has monitoring. Talk to me about just the business aspect of simplifying the tech stack and the software stack to be able to manage this much data.
You got to pull in the information. We do that through alerts mainly.
Yeah.
APIs, or I think that's what the word I'm looking for. Pulling APIs of all the data from a few different manufacturers, and you need to simplify that down. There's 30 different monitoring platforms in the market, probably more than that I'm not even aware of. When you start getting into the new ones with CTs like Emporia, there's 10 new add-on abandoned monitoring companies that have come out in the last year.
Right.
There's probably 50 different monitoring systems and platforms. So the big ones, obviously, SolarEdge and Enphase, top 2. Right? We're doing a ton of add-on or repowers with Tigo. So for us, Tigo's number 3. And then everything else, the SMAs, the Xantrex, the PV Powers, anything else you can think of, ABB, we're putting Emporias on. So Emporia is a plug-in device that allows us to get consumption and production monitoring at a very low cost. The kit itself is like $130.
Yeah.
So we can sell it at a really low cost. It does very basic monitoring, but it allows us to kind of blanket everything. Then you get into the battery side. Well, SolarEdge tends to go with SolarEdge and Enphase tends to go with Enphase. You're covered there. LG can tie into certain things, but can't tie into others.
Yeah.
So you may need an Emporia and a SolarEdge if you have that combo of that. Tesla is the one we are pulling in. So for us, it's SolarEdge, Enphase, Tigo, Emporia, and Tesla. That's the APIs we're pulling in.
So basically, if it's not one of the big 3, being SolarEdge, Enphase, Tesla, then you are retrofitting a CT solution and wrote your own software stack to integrate that. Yep.
So we're able to pull in data for everybody. Everybody has an opportunity for us to help them.
Yeah.
Obviously, solar and batteries. Most of our customers who are abandoned solar customers don't have batteries. They're much lower than the last 2, 3 years, 5 years. So just look at the legacy of a solar system or even a vehicle. How many issues do you have in the first 25, 50,000 miles if it isn't like a lemon right out the gate? Right? It's a little spike lemon, and then it's like you start seeing issues around 50. Other than preventative maintenance, oil changes and tires and brakes, you really start to see issues around 50, 75, 100,000.
Right.
So call it 100,000 like 10 years for a solar system, right? So those people didn't have batteries. So the service work we're getting into has a very low battery attachment rate than what the market average is because of age versus new. Batteries are very much part of this industry.
They're not a part of the industry anymore. They are the industry. I have said it's the tail wagging the dog for a couple of years now. We are in a storage plus solar era now. So you got data, you acquire it, monitoring, you adapt it, and integrate it into your software layer. Then talk to me about how you turn that data and monitoring into real world jobs. What's the ongoing?
So the monitoring is monitoring alerts. We talked about kind of the demand creation issue of why are people serviced at 1/4? Well, there's a cost That's why they're serviced at 1/4. But really, it's just awareness.
Yeah.
The customers have no idea what this spaceship is on the side of their home or up on there. And I'd say more than half. I'd say less than half of the customers could tell you what product they have. I would say
Right.
less than 2% could tell you what panel they have on their roof. So in terms of, how do they know how to service it? If they don't have the monitoring up, which is less than half, about 48% have their monitoring active at the big two. If they don't have their monitoring up, they don't know what equipment they have. How do they know it's not working?
Right.
Very few actually know that.
Correct.
And we've been told for years that it never doesn't break down, right? So people don't even think there's an issue to even look at.
Yes.
So we're getting monitoring access. We're reaching out to them when they have an issue. For our members, we're actually giving them a different cadence of proactive kind of like they have a way to kind of troubleshoot power cycle without us coming out there. So we're providing ways that they can fix the issue themselves by redoing their internet or power cycle in their system without paying us $500 to come out there.
Yeah.
So we're trying to provide more value there. But if you have their monitoring, they tend not to go anywhere. So that's kind of the first set of stickiness.
Right.
I guess data is kind of the first set, right? You're communicating with them. You're more likely to continue to communicate with them than someone who hasn't communicated.
You're building trust.
Yeah.
Or actually, in some cases, rebuilding trust.
Yeah. Well, in every case, almost rebuilding trust.
Yeah. And at every touch point where you add value to their past decision to go solar, you are establishing credibility at effectively no cost to them up to now. Talk to me about the stickiness of the membership model and how, when it occurred to you, like, okay, we can change the game here by charging what I'm going to say is probably below market rates on the whole, but like you understand the actual math of what it takes to service one residential homeowner. So I'd love for you to get into as much detail as you can here on, what it costs to service a homeowner and how you have figured out the growth model for getting customers to stay with you for every decision they make moving forward.
Yeah. Simple unit economics is the B2C side's about 2.5 times the cost of the B2B market.
Yeah.
So if you think you can go out and do a B2B repair for $500, you're going to need to charge $1,250 on the B2C side. That's kind of the gist of it. So you have a marketing cost, you have a higher cancellation rate, you have credit card fees, you have salespeople you need to pay. That whole unit economics equals to about 2.5 times your B2B cost.
Wow. Yep.
And no one understands how you can charge $1,200 for a $30 breaker replacement, and other than the people that actually understand the unit economics of it.
Right.
In fact, we can't not charge $1,200. It sounds like insanity, but we can't not charge it.
Yeah.
We literally can't do it if we don't charge it.
Yeah.
So those are the type of things that, and I think we charge like $750, $800 for a breaker replacement, but you get the idea.
I get it.
This industry tends to not have no idea why we have to charge, $2-3 grand for a repair that they think is a $200 part.
Yeah. And when you say they, it's like the homeowner or the service side of the industry?
I'd say the service side of the industry. I'd say the contractors in the market, the homeowners. And then we've got over 7,000 reviews and we're 4.7 star rated.
Right.
And in the last 4 weeks, we've had 6 reviews under 3.5 stars or 3 stars or below.
Yeah.
And 3 were price who didn't understand our unit economics, and 2 probably had a bad experience. And 1, I don't even think was us. It was a B2B partner. So we're doing a phenomenal job on customer service, and that's not enough price issues to say that we're actually priced over where we should be. In fact, I think we're underpriced where we should be.
Yeah, and that's on like spot service calls specifically, the way that you're describing right now, what it costs to actually service a customer. Yeah,
it costs a lot to acquire a customer. So our marketing cost in 2024 was 22%.
Wow.
Cost a lot to acquire a $1,500 repair. 22%. So one of the drivers for us to get gross margin to the right unit economics is we've got to get that down to less than 12%. We don't make money at 22%. We can't. So hence what comes into monitoring and membership.
Yeah.
Monitoring the data was a way for us to get to grow the TAM in the market, to get to more of the total addressable market, and was a priority for us to really, we want to be first to market in terms of acquiring customer base, so that someone with $100 billion can't come in and beat us because we already have an acquired customer base that they can't take from us without, I guess, buying us. But we're not for sale right now. But point I'm getting to is when you get into the membership, we flip the script on paying for that customer the second time. In fact, there's an argument to say they're paying us to market them. And I look at it as we're partnering with our customers and providing them value and splitting the marketing costs with them. So if I had a 22% marketing cost, I'd be happy to give my customers 10% off to come back again.
Right.
And not have to pay 22% to get them back again. So that's what membership for us is. And we have a $9 option, which is just basic proactive monitoring. We basically get your monitoring. We monitor the alerts. We can do remote troubleshooting, remote RMA replacements. We're trying to not come back out to your house for the equivalent of $99 unclogging your drain.
Right.
We want to be able to use the monitoring to fix your problems remotely and give you quotes on repairs with the monitoring remotely so that we don't have to nickel and dime you on little stuff on trip charges.
Yeah.
We have a $29 option coming out. It also includes 10% off and a bunch of priority scheduling, stuff like that. And we have a $29 option we're rolling out in the next couple of weeks, which will be all of that stuff plus an annual tune-up.
Yeah.
And the 49 will be that, maybe an extra panel wash. We're still figuring out the value prop on that. But the goal is to sell the 29. That's the most popular. You want to get out to the home once a year. You want to do a visual inspection. You want to tighten the bolts, do a tune-up. And that's what we're trying to get to is majority of our customers buying the $29 a month membership.
Right.
And providing more value than we take from the customer so that they don't go anywhere.
Yeah. And the idea is there actuarially, it's like insurance. You're not going to have to visit each one of these homeowners. So you can then spread the overall cost of providing this service across all the homeowners and be able to afford the margin that you need on a service visit without having to charge each individual failure.
No, it's actually more individual. So imagine Titan Solar Power was your installer, Nico, and they went out of business. And EnergyAid, you called their phone number, EnergyAid picked up. You went on their website, EnergyAid picks up, and then EnergyAid reaches out to you and says, "Hey, I need access to your monitoring." We get access to your monitoring, and they say, "Hey, Nico, there's an arc fault issue.
Right.
Would you like us to help you fix that?" You then hire us for $299 to go out there to do an inspection, $399 if you want a panel wash and an inspection, and we then give you a quote for $2,500 to fix it, minus the $299 or $399 that you already spent, which is more like a deposit towards your repair.
Yep.
So we give the money back from the first visit if they move forward with the repair. You then say, "Hey, I want to sign up for the $29 a month membership." And what that is going to mean is in 9 to 12 months, once a year, we're going to come out there and for an hour and a half, and we're going to do a visual inspection and preventative maintenance.
Yeah, which is itself worth $300.
Yep, 100% of those people that pay for that 29 will get us out there. So there's no sharing of the savings. You will get 10%. Anybody who gets membership will get 10% off. It's really more individual based in terms of what you get for your membership. There isn't an aggregate savings value prop in any of it. It's not where we don't have a warranty coverage, extended warranty coverage.
Got it. It's basically building in either proactive monitoring or proactive once a year visit, which would otherwise cost $300 anyway. So you're paying a little bit more than $300 on the whole, but you get the monitoring service baked into that.
Yep. So for an extra $20 a month for $240 a year, you get an extra $299 value there. Plus, there's other stuff we're working on, but and that's just kind of the preventative maintenance trip. So and then they get 10% off anything they buy from us. So we're working on opening up add-ons right now, which is battery add-ons and more panels. We talked about 25 and 40K going to 100K. Yeah. Well, those customers need not only us to service the first system, they need us to fix service their new second, third system.
Yeah.
Or the add-on to their first system, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
So we're starting the add-on side here the next couple of weeks. I think the end of next week is when we start selling our first battery add-ons and panel add-ons and in-house here.
Yeah. Do you know what I like about this? Just doing the math, the $29 option is a $59 discount on the service visit, effectively. It's a $59 discount on the service visit, and you bake in a 10% discount on any eventual repairs, which we've already discovered are eventual in nature.
So the tune-up is going to be, here's kind of the three-prong pitch on it. We're going to tighten the bolts. We're going to do a visual inspection. We're going to wash your panels.
Yeah.
So that is a $399 value, you're right.
Oh, that's right. You're going to wash the panels with that. Okay. I was doing the math wrong. Okay.
Yep. It's even more value.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a $340 value.
Yeah, you've got $340 there, and then you've got another $108 you're saving on the monitoring for the $9.
Well, that's my point is, yeah, I was doing the total sum of the 29 times 12 minus the 9 times 12. There's a $240 delta, but actually it's not.
Yep.
You got to add $100 on top of that. So it's actually $340 value of what was, yeah. So you're getting a $399 service for $340. Well, actually for $240.
We go back to.
You're getting $399 for $240.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you already got the discounts on the $9. So stepping up to the second one. And here's kind of the idea. We want to partner with our customers again.
Right.
Right. We want to continue to provide them more value than we take in the essence of trying to split that marketing cost with them.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You can have the first 10% for free. I just don't want to pay 22% again.
That's right. And then your goal there is that it's so sticky that they're going to call you and say, hey, EnergyAid, your guy was just out doing panel washing. My refrigerator broke. Right? Like, could it get that sticky where basically they just see EnergyAid as their home service provider?
There's multiple cross-pollination options. We talked about like roofing becomes a very close, sticky product. HVAC, plumbing HVAC comes into this. There's a lot of cross-pollination opportunity across the sector. You become a home improvement more or less once you control the customer. But here's kind of the idea. If you've got their membership, you've got their home.
Yeah.
Nico, if you were in that whole scenario of Titan Solar Power coming over to EnergyAid and you were happy with the experience you had, you felt that you got a 5-star customer experience. We came out quick. We fixed it. We communicated well with you. We were nice and polite, and you were getting your monitoring alerts every month, or a report said you had none, and you were just happy. Your system seemed to be performing.
Yeah.
In what scenarios would you go try to find someone who could disappoint you?
That's right.
Right? People tend not to go find something other if they're happy. There's some crazy people in this world.
I'll tell you right now, you know what's really interesting? I'm just thinking about the nature of like home ownership. I'm just thinking about the way you can build upon this business as the homeowner's reputable service provider of choice. Like, I have a dishwasher where one little piece broke. Now, I know I could call the folks. It would take me time and scheduling to get them to fix the door so that it would auto catch, just the dishwasher door catches instead of slamming down. Like, I just taught my kids to let it down gently instead of fixing that one piece, because it's going to cost not the $200 to fix it, but like $1,000 of my time. Just schedule someone.
You got better kids than I do. My kid would intentionally break it after I told him not to.
Well, it's not all perfect. But I'm just trying to think through like the underlying value that I saw when you first started describing EnergyAid to me is not like this guy's figured out how to deploy service to solar homeowners at scale, but rather how to interject his business between a homeowner and the rest of like their home's serviceable life.
Well, there's two misconceptions about this business. One is it's going to be an easy transition for the new installers into it. It's completely different logistics business. I'll just give you the simple, easy numbers. Sending 4 people to one site versus sending 1 to 4 sites is a whole different logistics business.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the other misconception is that this is a $600 breaker business. And it's far from that. The new installation market is smaller than the service market. How is that? $600 breakers. Well, it's both. It's service plus new installs. So the whole point of this is to lower the biggest issue we have in this market, which is the customer acquisition cost. The top solar companies in the nation are spending $3,000 to $4,000 to acquire a customer. And it takes them 90 to 120 days to acquire that customer. and they don't have anything that breaks that they can charge them for a period of time.
It's really interesting. I mean, you're saying the top, meaning like the largest. I've had some conversations recently. There's a guy down in Arizona whose CAC is about 600. I just talked to our buddy Aaron Nitzkin. His CAC is now down like less than 1,000. Like there are some folks that are really doing an incredible job. Now they're not growing at a breakneck speed like some of the other folks that are willing to. Like you have to make a sacrifice of like there are some sacrifices, trade-offs for CAC depending on how you want to structure the origination. Like how are you acquiring those customers?
The larger demand creators in the market are 3,000 to 4,000.
That's right.
You're gonna have a guy who's got a real estate referral program or some other little side hustle where he's picking up discounted leads somehow. Knocking doors could be very cost effective if you're doing it for yourself. There's a zero cost customer or very little, right? Depending on how you value your time or cost of food for the day. We're acquiring a customer at $300 to $400. It doesn't take us 4 months to actually complete that. It takes us, let's call it 4 weeks all in. So we've got roughly 1/4 of the 4x the speed of acquiring a customer and 1/10 the costs. So in theory, you can call that a 40x advantage over the competition on growing demand creation in the market. That's why I like the service acquisition model.
Yeah, it's brilliant. You mentioned layers. We started with data, monitoring, membership. Is there another layer?
So it's increased spend, right?
Right.
Increased
share of wallet.
Yeah. So wallet share per customer. So you've got them, very raw data. They called in, they're interested. You bought it, whatever it may be.
Right.
You've got a data source you can communicate with.
Yep.
Then you try to increase the run rates of the monitoring. It's very complex for small companies. My guess is there will be softwares in the market that aggregate this for smaller service companies.
Right.
As it's a monster to bill out, and the value only comes really at scale in servicing your members. Membership, there'll be multiple ways people can build out membership and softwares to help with that. A lot of people do that in-house. And the spend is, the reason why you want members is not just the savings, it's the conversion rates.
Right.
So various traditional statistics in the HVAC industry. Low 30% conversions on repair work for non-members, high 60% on members. So you've got double the conversion, which is everything when you look at a loss leader inspection versus a high gross margin repair. I'll give you simple math. We lose about negative 20% gross margin with a goal of 35% gross margin. So we are 55% gross margin away on our inspections.
Yeah.
If that's not a loss leader, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
And we're 55 to 60%, up to 65% on certain smaller products on gross margin on repair work.
Yeah. And the way that works for people to understand is that you're taking a flyer on sending a crew out, hoping they'll find a problem. And they don't always find a problem.
Yeah. Well, we're targeting people that tend to have problems helps too. So that's picking your right lead. We're not going to go out and, knock a door of a new homes development that's a year old.
Yeah.
We will go try to find someone who has a old Xantrex inverter.
Yeah.
Which is probably 15 plus years old.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
So or PV powered even further.
They've already had to replace that inverter 4 times.
Exactly. So, finding who your customer is and when, and there's definitely an asset to value kind of bell curve that, with the exception of year one, that kind of spikes, and eventually the asset's just not worth service anymore. You just trash it. Most people kind of on 100,000 miles on a vehicle say, "Hey, out with the old, in with the new."
Yeah.
There's that type of asset to value assessment for solar batteries at one point too. So increased spend, what does that mean? If you have 1 million data points and you have 100,000 monitoring, you got 10,000 members, you can look at spend on any one of those mechanisms.
Yeah.
But we look at it probably on membership. So right now we have about 1,600 members. We're growing about 100 a week. We got to increase those rates, but we're netting about 5,000 a year. Our churn's very low.
Yeah.
Which is great because our product's far from where it needs to be long term, but is good enough apparently. We have less than a 4% turn, annually, which is amazing. This early on. So now you're looking at conversions and you're looking at additional products and cross-pollinating to them. So for us, we need to start selling add-on products. Right?
Yeah.
We're a new HVAC company. It doesn't sell new HVAC units. That's the definition of insanity. So we got to sell them more products, higher ticket prices, which will increase the average spend per customer.
Yeah.
If you look at it, every 20 years, they're going to need a new 100 grand of this stuff, right? So they should be spending 5 grand a year with you. That should be the average minimum right there, plus whatever repairs they have on maintaining it all, plus their membership.
Yeah.
Right. So when you really get into it, these customers should be worth 5, 6, 7 grand a year long term.
Yeah.
If you really perfect the model. Now it's nowhere near that today.
And what's the so that, like, I'm trying to back into lifetime value for you of a customer. You're expecting to keep them for 15, 20 years?
You're expecting to keep them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So lifetime value of a customer for you is
our expectation
not even,
is there.
Yeah. Just on the service side, lifetime value of a customer is a minimum 100K plus 50 to 100K in additionality of retail services.
We're hoping to keep them probably about 95% of the average home turn rate. So if the average home in the U.S. is changing every 7.5 years, 7 years, we're hoping to keep members for an average of 6.5.
Are you open to talk about what are some of those things that are additionality that you think are low-hanging fruit? Obviously, I think batteries is an easy one. EV chargers an easy one. Are there others?
Smart home load centers.
Oh yeah.
Everybody thinks there's this magical bi-directional tool that's going to solve all the MPU upgrades not having to happen. No. I doubt it. I think they're underestimating all the other appliances we're having to add at the same time.
Yeah.
It's not just an EV car charging MPU issue. Right. It's all the other electrical products, gas going to electrical, which is transitioning, all of the AI tools. Where are you going to plug in your robot?
Yeah.
And they already got them. We got the Molly little rover thing that does the kitchen and the floors.
Yeah, I had the guy I told you from Lectra on, where his goal is to put a data server in every home, right? Every closet, every house is going to be an AI server.
What do you think is going to happen to your MPU at that point, or your electrical panel? It's going to go up.
Yeah,
everybody's going to need 400s, and we're going to have to.
I was just about to ask that. We're already already kind of standardized around 200 now, so we're going to double that.
They're going to start with 400s. All the 100s are going to go to 2s, and then the bi-directional stuff will help keep the 2s up.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, that's a fascinating business in and of itself. I've got a buddy, Spencer, that just left EnergyAid to go to this company, Noble Carbon. You know those guys? They're creating smart breakers. Like, we're talking about smart breakers now, not just the panel itself, like span and lumen, but smart breakers. And that is a whole world that's disrupting, the likes of Square D and Schneider. Yeah.
Well, they're going to have to get into it. They're already doing it.
Or as they acquired Lumen, right? So they're definitely getting into it.
Yeah.
But on the soft side of this, you're not managing just the acquisition of numbers. You're actually adding human capital. And how do you scale that human capital? Your 5 offices, over 130 employees. You're growing faster than most software-led companies can scale code. What did you get right about scaling people? What did you get wrong?
So that was when we got the Inc. 5000 number 6. And I think, between you and I, if you look at the last numbers of what got number 6, like the year previous or years previous, it was like 3x the growth, like 30,000, not 14,000.
Right.
Or 35,000. So I think we got a favorable year. I think we also got a favorable time period when we opened versus that. But
totally.
But still, we had nothing but SaaS around us.
Right.
So we probably stood out like, who are these human capital people? The average company around us had less than 40 employees. Right. And they were, 2 engineers in Silicon Valley and 1 guy in Philippines. And they were doing, 12 mil a year off that. Some AI company. So, the technician side, we learned early that we needed to pay up, hire high-end technicians who do high-end work. We needed to hire adults. So adults for us where, you can't use the word age, but I'll just give you 30 was our number. So we didn't really hire anybody under $30 because if they were any good, they got stolen.
Yeah.
And a lot of the tendencies of things under the age of 30 were kind of some of our hiring policies. We wanted to stay away from people that lived with their buddies. So we wanted to find people that had a kid or 2, were engaged, were married, someone that had some liability that they were responsibility for. You were over there, Nico, talking to your kids and your wife. You're our technician. You're an adult. You have responsibilities. If you can't call in sick the day after Super Bowl, um, you have too many people you care about that depending on you. So, those were the things we started to do. Kind of hire adults. We slowed down our hiring process to kind of multi-step. It's kind of a go slow to go fast. That was something that really helped us. We brought in some interviewer helpers. Some of our advisor investors came in and built out curriculums for how we hire. We slowed down some of the drug testing policies, the background checking policies to get it a little more intense. We have a minimum 10 days, calendar days before someone can even start. So you can't start someone next week.
Yeah.
They have to go through a drug test. They have to go through background. Those take times. Depending on a technician's 14 days because we have to get other supplies and vehicles ready for them.
Yeah.
So we just kind of, slowed down that. And then today we've got about 130 employees. Of that, about 20 are in Tijuana in our phone room. And they're not technically employees, but we manage them. They work 40 hours a week for us. They're everything but a W-2 on their report card.
Yeah.
And then we've got 25, 27 or so in the Philippines. So we built out a W-BEN process over there, and then the rest are US based. So Philippines, Tijuana kind of helped that scaling process.
Yeah.
And then really kind of slowing down the technician hiring process.
Yeah. Is there any particular modality? There have been a bunch of books around hiring and scaling talent in businesses. Did anybody like outside or inside say, "Hey, have you read this book?" Or like, we should think about like this framework for hiring that worked for you?
I don't. People have. They watch a video, they read a book, and then they start, saying, "Hey, this is how I scale because of this book," and then they start creating their own, storyline about what it is. I just think it's a lie. I've read plenty of business books. I've watched plenty of YouTube. Blitzscaling is a great thing I watch up the Stanford University. And I think it's all just a lie. Like, you just got to get your hands in the trenches and test data and just figure out what's not working. From a cultural standpoint, I would say, and business management standpoint, we have a lot of conversations about what's got us to, 20 plus mil now is not going to get us to 100 mil.
Right.
And we need to build some more structure in it. But end of the day, it's really just trying to get 1% better at everything you need to get 1% better at every day. So progress, not perfection. And I don't think there's, everybody says, oh, we're going to bring in OKRs here. Well, that's great for Google, but we're a $20 million company.
Yeah.
We just need to actually do this.
Yeah.
And then you get other stuff too that we, people know what they read and see. And a lot of the people that are experienced enough to actually know don't work anymore. And you can get advice from them too. That helps to lower the learning curve, but that's the reality of it. So I don't think anybody actually knows.
I noticed that you're in YPO, so you do get advice from some of those folks. How do you encircle yourself with smart people to give you advice so that you don't make the same mistakes twice?
So our current investor advisor group is a heavy group of 70 plus or close to 70 plus, and a lot of them have been in 50 businesses. One of them was the head of M&A for Arca Oil. One was in private equity. One, I still don't know what he does today, is Mr. Privacy. One was CPA, a CFO at Cypress Semiconductor at one point, $2 billion commercial company, Darren Devine. And they all give you different advice, and you get kind of this yin and yang, and you create kind of a group you trust. And a couple conservative, couple aggressive, couple just in the middle, neutral, independent kind of thinkers. And so you get from them, a lot of them are retired. So you get a lot of historical context.
Yeah.
You get a lot of not going to work. Here's how I know. People won't react to that because I've been in the people business for 70 years. It's the same business, right?
Yeah.
People will find a way to do things you don't want them to do unless you inspect it. So, and then the YPO one, I wanted to extend my network and that group, which has been a phenomenal group. I love every one of those guys. We've got 6 others in our forum. I don't know if you know YPO works, but under the age of 45, certain revenue, it's CEOs and presidents, so like leaders of businesses, privately held mainly. And you have a chapter which has 30 to 50 people, and there's multiple chapters throughout the nation, hundreds probably. And then you have a forum, which is a group of 5 to 8 people that is kind of your trusted group. You hang out 90% with them, and then another group. So that's like your trust banking. It's family, it's personal, it's
Right.
business.
Yeah.
It's actually been a lot more family. It all kind of ties together.
Yeah, it does.
So we're spending more time together, doing retreats together, stuff like that. But we meet once a month, and there's a nice structure to it. This group has been really good for understanding the current business issues. A couple of them are in PAGA cases.
What's
I didn't even know
PAGA?
what PAGA is. Restaurant business, workmen's
Yeah. Okay.
hourly labor hour laws issues, and just makes you kind of go back and go, hey, let's talk to our legal about making sure this is ironclad.
Right.
Versus that advisor elderly group isn't aware of today's labor laws.
Yeah.
So I get a lot of kind of today in business conversations through them, opportunities through them. And then the advisor group is more of historical business in general kind of advice.
You mentioned to me that when Roto-Rooter, ARS, when they enter solar service or get wind of the opportunity that you've helped create, that you're all going to get destroyed, sort of tongue in cheek. What keeps you confident that EnergyAid can defend its position in that eventual situation?
Don't tell them, by the way. Don't tell them I said that. I don't know if we are confident, Nico. I think as we're getting more into the B2C side, the number one driver is speed. And the conversions of speed that they've built out, they have a huge advantage on. They've perfected that process for probably half a century at this point.
Yeah.
For them alone. And AI is an opportunity that they'll probably do better than most. There's a bunch of opportunities they'll probably do better than most. Here's the big advantage we have. They know nothing about our industry. So the product is completely different, and they don't understand the demand creation of the market. They don't even understand what monitoring systems. They can hire personnel into it. And I think the biggest issue is, and probably the best chance that we have of separating them, is the lifetime of the actual install. So the whole point of service as an acquisition is acquisition. And the biggest ticket item there is the new system or the add-on. So for HVAC and plumbing, it's putting a new HVAC or plumbing unit in, and that usually gets done in less than 2 or 3 weeks, max. You cannot do that in the solar industry. And when you start adding battery complexity of adding the new system to old systems, so one, I don't think it's completely emergency service today. And long-term, it may be, probably is with VPPs and more battery uptime needed. Looks like we're going further and further towards microgrids.
Right.
And then two, it's just a different life cycle, timeline-wise, than they're used to. And I don't know if the customer's willing to pay the price that's needed for that speed yet. So those are the things that I think we have a fighting chance on. I will say this: if you go look at if you go call the top 10 solar installers in the market today, you're going to get an IVR system on 9 out of 10 of them.
What's IVR?
It's going to take you a minute, just basically like an automated press 1, press 2, press 1 again, press 2 again, or press 1 again. I'm sorry, have a good day. Right?
Right.
It takes you a minute and a half to get a hold of anybody. There's not one HVAC company in the U.S. that has that today. Not one.
Right.
Find me one. I'll send you $100 bill. And you have to give me the $100 bill if they're still in business in a year. You have to send it back to me. It doesn't work. Service as an acquisition
because you have to answer the phone. Yeah.
You have to pick up the phone. The quicker, the better.
Yeah. Those
are the things that I think the install side, and why I say that this industry has such a hard time long term. Now, with that said, there's 95% of the homes that don't have it yet. So there's plenty of opportunity for us to go put more solar on new homes. This isn't everybody has to be in service acquisition tomorrow.
It occurs to me that a lot of the systems that you're tying into are closed systems, and increasingly so. Manufacturers are getting into service, sometimes locking down their APIs. How do you keep independence as EnergyAid as these systems sort of tighten their access to external providers like you?
I think they'll still do. You're talking about OEMs and stuff like that, and we've had some things that have changed across the board there. In general, you
mentioned 4, right? So Enphase, SolarEdge, Tesla, and Tygo.
There's nothing that can stop a homeowner or ourselves from swapping out products. So there's nothing that can stop a homeowner from picking another monitoring or another installer, another panel, another inverter, another whatever. There's nothing that can stop them from doing that.
Yeah.
It's their God-given right to go do whatever they want with their home and their money. For us, as an installer or a service provider, there's nothing that can stop us from what products we present.
Right.
Here's what I do think is going to happen. The homeowner is going to make a logical decision 99.9% of the time. The OEMs are going to do what's best for the customers from a brand perspective, what's best for their brand.
Yeah.
You treat the customers well, the business tends to do well.
Right.
And EnergyAid is going to provide the best product offering to the market. And those things kind of will sort themselves out in time.
Yeah.
You know, we had one of the OEMs started charging $99 transfer fee, and within 2 weeks it was gone. I think they made the right decision. Because I think they're starting to see that they're really starting to compete. We've had some of the OEMs start to try to sell their own membership programs. I think they're realizing how tough that's going to be for them long term, competing against their customers.
Right.
So I think a lot of this just sorts it out over time. I'm not so worried about getting locked out or locked in.
Yeah.
I think as long as consumers buy the products, I think the manufacturers and the gate holders of monitoring will continue to do what's best for them.
Yeah.
And I think there's actually like antitrust regulations too, if they did, because, there's got to be some type of like service repair laws about blocking someone from getting their product fixed
from having
by your
access
product.
to their own data, right?
Yeah. I think there's some like antitrust, anti-service monopoly laws or something, whatever word I'm looking for there. You get what I'm getting to.
I do. And it makes sense to me. One of the things that I love about your approach, apart from the scale of the data acquisition side, the IP is, and it's right on your YouTube channel, you guys are really focused on making solar fun again, right? Re-injecting that homeowner with the sense of like, I did something cool, like different, something that is forward-leaning and forward-thinking. And I think that we need more as a media company. I'm particularly intrigued by this, more companies like EnergyAid who really embrace content creation. Talk to me about how you're thinking about reaching the additional homeowners and also creating a brand message that says, hey, solar is a thing that you should be proud of. And oh, by the way, just like your HVAC and everything else, like we're going to take care of it for you. Can you talk about the ways that you're thinking about using media to create that influence and change homeowners' minds about the way they see solar?
Yeah, I kind of talked about the old sales rep that said it's never going to break down, and some of the homeowners still have that perception, and because of that, maybe they don't investigate and figuring out if they have an issue or not. A lot of the homeowners figure out, kind of I'd say more than 90% comes from two mechanisms from the feedback we're getting.
Yeah,
and I can get you some actual data, but one is true up bill.
Yeah,
we have multiple people that said, "Hey, I'm paying this true up bill for last year. I had 0 2 years ago. Last year I had 2,000. This year I have 4,000. I haven't increased anything. I'm positive, right? And that just tells me their system has been working for 18 months, right? You can look at that stuff. That's really one of the common ones. And then monitoring is the other common one. Some people know to go check the green light on their old SMA or SolarEdge inverter on the side of the house. Some people actually look at their app when they have monitoring and can figure out there's issues there. A lot of people have no idea what an internet connection disruption is versus an arc fault.
Yeah.
One's very serious, one is not serious.
Right.
So at what point do they get the alert and then also act on the alert? I think we're helping them really understand what alerts are urgent and not urgent.
Yeah.
Based on categorization. So we took all these alert mechanisms. There's like 210 in SolarEdge alone. We created these cadences of, high, low, and updating customers on advisory levels based on that.
I love that.
Like the lowest one, like in that example, is internet connection disruption. Your internet just needs to be recycled. There might possibly, like basically your monitoring is not working for the moment, power cycle it.
Yeah.
And then arc fall is a potential fire hazard. That's very dangerous. So with Free Solar Friday, our goal is we wanted to do a few things with it. One, we wanted to create demand creation in the market. Two, like via educating customers on these issues are out there and you need to be aware, you need to be looking for them, not just looking for your electric bill to go up and blindly
Right.
close your eyes and go, did my true up bill go up this year or not? The other part is we wanted to control the narrative on what we were doing with the asset purchase agreements. So the intellectual property purchases.
Right.
I told you earlier about how we get, 10 Titan lawsuits a day.
Yeah.
And we have to educate them. Well, we want to control the narrative on who EnergyAid is.
Right.
It's very easy for the industry to go out and go, oh, they're just scavenging dead companies and taking advantage of it.
Totally.
And we wanted to make sure people understood that we're part of the solution, not part of the problem.
Right.
So
Some
end of the
reputation
day,
management.
people have spent money on an asset, and an asset needs to provide value.
Yeah.
And that's good for the industry. It's good for people. It's good for businesses. It's good for everybody. We need to maintain these assets one way or another. So that's the main reason we did it. It's the reason why we're going to continue to do it is actually opposite of something I ever thought of, which is it's become the culture of the business.
Wow.
Our company, they love talking about it. They love sharing it. Some of them are in the videos, and it just becomes such real great feel good story of what we do. And we beta tested, I think, eight episodes. We start printing them again end of October, early November.
Yeah.
And our goal is to get to long-term once a week they come out. And this is also allowing us to create shorts and posts all over social media and take advantage of some of those acquisitions we made with their social medias. And that's what we want to do. We want to create the brand in this industry through that.
I think you've got some really clever videos and your shorts are fun. I like the one, I kudos to the team that's helping you with it, because like the one that says 3 years powerless, utility company said time's up, and the guy's got his head in his hands, right? It's like really tapping into this sense of frustration and helplessness that people often feel, especially to your point, the cash deals, the cash loan side of the business, who, for all of the reasons, the installers just move on, and those homeowners are abandoned. They're given an app, and that's about it. I think you adopted this too, as you described it for me, from the guy who goes around and like cuts lawns for free. He's got a lawn care business. He cuts lawns for free, and he's got millions and millions of followers. Has even been fined and I think threatened to be arrested for cutting someone's lawn for free.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I hope that you aren't paying
world
more.
Gone, by the way.
I know.
We want
I hope that you're not paying more bond
free.
money. I hope you're not paying more bond money for your your
it's
free
insane.
Solar Friday.
Yeah. When did like community service become breaking the law?
I know. How do you see the major lease portfolios in the industry evolving? I'm curious your role in these assets as they start becoming liabilities around about 10, 12, 13 years in.
They're starting to come now. I mean, if you look at the first Sunrun Solar City, 2008, 2007-ish, right?
Yep.
They're starting to come right now. So we're in that. I see the lease portfolios being sold out year 12 to 15. I see the cash or let's call it year 15 to 18 on the lease. I think they start marketing the swap outs year 12 or 13, trying to get ahead of the asset turn into liability.
Yeah.
I see the cash loan around 18 to 21 years. So we're talking about out with the old, in with the new.
Yeah.
Right. So like, here's your old HVAC unit. Now you got a new HVAC unit. I think the lease is 15 to 18. I think cash loans 18 to 21. And that's going to be a whole business too. I think a lot of the installation market is excited with the R&R opportunity and service.
What's R&R?
That's also remove and reinstalls.
Yeah. So that's effectively, for the residential side, that's equivalent of like utility scale repowering. You mentioned repowering earlier with Tygo, right?
Kind of. The repower is we go swap out an old PV powered inverter with a new Tygo inverter.
Got it. And you're only focused on, for repowering, the inverter, not the module.
It's really just, well, we do some module repowers.
Yeah.
So you have some modules that were put in 10, 12 years ago that nobody thinks they get their money back on, that we just go swap out all the panels on because we believe it's just better to do that.
Yeah.
They've degraded or something or cracked or whatever it is. So we've done multiple repowers. Some people just want the latest, greatest technology on their roof as well.
Yeah.
Or they want to put, the same 20 panels that produce 50% more power in the same footprint.
Correct. Yeah. A lot more power density.
There's multiple reasons for that.
Yeah.
Most of the system swap outs, like kind of repowers of system swap outs I see happening, and the lease has that portfolio has a huge opportunity, as they would love to. there's going to be a huge opportunity to swap outs there. They understand now the cost stack better on the service side. So my guess is they may actually swap out a little earlier than they wanted to.
Yeah.
As they've undercosted allocated cost or expenses for the service.
Yeah.
That they actually need to get out of those leases sooner than later after the 10-year
Wow.
period.
Oh, wow.
So
because of the liability.
Yeah. So if you looked at like kind of a asset, year 15 liability goes below the liability. This is the liability curve, liability. Well, the liability is assessed on what the asset value is returning to you. So if you've underpriced the service liability into that asset to liability curve happens earlier.
Right.
Or transition from asset to liability. So in that theory, I see this actually being a much sooner issue than not. And I think year 12, year 13, you're going to start seeing very soon the larger asset managements, right? The Spruce, Sunstrong, Sunrun. I don't know if it's so much Lightreach and Palmetto, but like all the lease portfolios, they're going to quickly have to get out of these assets into these liabilities. Now, you have some of those contracts that aren't necessarily their own liability. So when you go into Sunrun side, they've got liability on the asset unless they've sold off the tax equity or something else. Yeah. When you get into Sunstrong and that type of, that's more of a service relationship. They may be inclined to let the service build up more if they're being paid. So it really comes down to how the service company is actually being paid to service that liability. Because if they're getting paid per trip or paid per fix, they're more inclined to have more fixes. They're financially coerced to do so, actually. Yeah. Versus someone who's responsible for that liability needs to get out of them sooner.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of how does this relationship tie into that relationship versus what will happen to those assets.
Yeah.
But in theory, if a customer has a 20-year lease, at one point, someone's going to want to sell them another 20-year lease.
Especially if the system has been essentially completely refreshed.
So I think that's when you kind of get into this 20-year cycle, call it 18 to 20-year cycle where, cars last 200,000 miles. Nobody keeps them for 200 unless you live in a small town in Oklahoma. And you've got your old 67 Ford with 430,000 miles your grandpa passed down to you.
Yeah.
And then it's a classic at that point too. The value, it's like that's got its own asset and value curve too. After a certain point, it price starts going back up again.
Yeah. But just like HVAC, you're always going to want to continue to heat your home. So you have to change that appliance out. You're still going to need electricity for your home, and increasingly so. So that appliance will get swapped out.
Yeah. So two of the bigger drivers, and I think this industry, we're getting into the add-on side. We're not going to probably sell a third-party ownership product. So everybody the next 2 years is going to sell lease except us. Here's why. I don't try. One, it's going to be very hard to get the product. It's super complex. It's going to be a constant moving turmoil. And it costs a lot more to facilitate the leases. And then when you get into our average customer is going to be buying a $15,000, $20,000 battery add-on, they may not even care about it. Their first system is a cash loan purchase system. Do they want to take a $25,000 cash loan that they own and throw another 15-year lease system on that? And then who's going to want to integrate those? So there's very few people even want to do that product. The entire market is going to flood over to that. It's going to be backed up. It's going to be hard to get your money. The cost is going to go up because there's so much demand. So my guess is there's not going to be a huge separation of delta of value. And we're not going to sell 20-year warrant unsecured financing. One of the greatest stats I've ever heard in this industry came from a fintech that said our 25-year product has been bought out in an average of 7.2 years. What does that mean? We just overcharge a bunch of dealer fees to the market. So we're going to go sell 5, 10-year unsecured battery add-ons, and we're going to sell 5, 10-year financing, and it's going to be $62 for your lease battery add-on or $330 for our 7-year finance per month. So we're going to get out of this whole payment per month and more in peace of mind back to selling in-home improvement product perspective. At least that's the idea now. But I don't think we're going to be selling TPO the next 2 years.
When you look out beyond that, 3 years, 4 years, what's the biggest strategic risk on the one side and the biggest, the one opportunity that you're determined to capture first for EnergyAid?
We want to build up a defense wall in the West Coast. So California, Arizona, Nevada, mainly California, Arizona, right? At that point, we want to expand into the larger markets of Texas, Florida, New Jersey. We want to be the first to 10 states and the first to 100,000 members. And our goal is to build up a defense wall strong enough and a brand big enough that Rescue Rooter can't come in with $500 million and wipe us off the map.
How many members does a business like Rescue Rooter have?
I think they got 2 million or something.
Are there other businesses like AAA that you can piggyback or partner with?
Good idea, by the way. Yes, there's a bunch of them. You're getting into the roofing side, you're getting into the solar side, you're getting into the battery business. So we've looked at some of the solar relationships. There's a lot of cheat codes to get ahead and try to do stuff like the asset purchase agreements we talked about. That's a maneuver for us to kind of get to a larger group of customers quicker. You saw the Costco's and the Home Depots and the Lowe's relationships that Sunrun and Solar City and Sonova had for years. Those were ways to get to mass market quicker. There's going to be ideas. The EV car charger seems like one of those, and there's multiple ways I think to get to it.
All right, I got some lightning round questions for you. I hate the even the lightning round moniker, but it's quick fire or whatever. I'll probably come up with a better way to phrase it down the road if I keep it. But these are just I want you to just from your gut. What's the answer? So, what's one metric you check every single morning?
B2C first visits booked.
B2C first visits booked.
Repair inspections.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And that's from the data warehouse. It's like conversions.
I look at our B2C overview, which is how many members, how many monitorings we've added, how many what's our run rate, like what does the weekly sales booking numbers look like, how many repairs, how many inspections we booked. Inspection is the biggest driver because we've got to grow that or we can't grow any of it. And so we got to grow volume.
Got it. Most overhyped idea in the residential solar industry right now. Could be in service, could be
remove and reinstalls.
Okay. I would love for you to elaborate 30 seconds.
I think it's a natural progression for the installers, and it's an easy path because it's four people going to one job site.
Yeah.
The problem is everybody else is trying to do that. And that market is increasing based on volume, but decreasing based on roofing quality we've done in the past. So when you go back to 2008, no one even put a roof on in the California market when you did solar. You go to 2012, it was like 20% of homes. By the time I was really heavy in it, in like 16, 17, 18, 30, 40%, today it's probably half of them have roofing done with it.
Yeah.
Long term, it's just going to be like, it's going to keep growing. So if roofs are being put in better and registered and checked at site and measure better, in theory, we should have less R&Rs.
Yeah.
You're still going to have roof leaks and bad installs and everything else there, but you also have people that have their own service liability towards that based on warranty coverage. And a lot of that bad penetration stuff is going to come out in the first 5 years.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be oversaturated market that is a flat, maybe declining opportunity.
What's one underrated tool or vendor that quietly keeps you winning?
Salesforce.
Is it? Salesforce is more so than Emporia?
Everybody has so many bad things to say about Salesforce from a cost perspective. I think it's underrated.
I love it. I thought you were going to say Emporia, honestly, but
we haven't done Emporia long enough to have it respected, but Emporia seems like a really good product for us.
I love that answer, though. You're right. Everybody disses on Salesforce.
Everybody disses on it. It's underrated.
I love it. A hire or mindset shift that changed the trajectory of the business.
I think there's kind of 3 points that stand out. One was the B2B pushing us towards B2C. 2 was all the big businesses starting to go out of business. And then really understanding that the monitoring and membership and getting the marketing cost down was such a driver. I watched this HVAC podcast for the last couple of years, and we got a lot of the ideas from them and conversion rates from them. And it just stood out that we've got to get membership going sooner. And not only do we need to get it going, we need to get the run rates up to 100 a week to start accruing quicker.
What's the name of the podcast?
Billy Go is the HVAC guy. Landon Brewer, they're two big. Landon Brewer is the number 2 guy at Gettle Plumbing. and is highly acquisitive in the private equity side of the HVAC industry. And then Billy Stevens, I think, but Billy goes a company out of like Austin, Texas that he runs, and Billy Go Live or something like that. I can't even remember the name of it.
That's the name of their podcast, just like three guys.
It's two guys. It's I think Billy Stevens, I want to say, and Landon Brewer, and they're they are gurus when it comes to HVAC and understanding the model.
I love it. And they've done a bunch, you said, in basically in the private equity side.
Yeah, they own and operate and have owned and operated multiple HVAC companies. I mean, Gettle Plumbing, I think their second acquisition was $500 million.
How did you find that show?
I met Landon through a company called Toolbelt, which I'm an advisor, and he's advisor for. My buddy Josh Engelbrick's the CEO of it, and that's how I met Landon. And then I somehow tripped on his podcast, and I started watching. It was good.
Got it. A lot of folks listening might think, "Oh gosh, these guys are actually competitors to me as an installer in some way." What advice might you have for an installer out there who is targeting orphaned homeowners or has been orphaning them themselves because they did a bunch of cash deals?
This industry needs more love. Like there's plenty of customers to go around. We don't have to fight each other. I mean, it feels like I had this conversation with John Berger a few weeks ago, and I'm like, why can't there be an alliance of the top 5 companies instead of it feels like we're playing that game Risk, where it's like, here's the red team, here's the blue team, here's the green team. And I think you can assess who those are. But it's like, we can all just be, on the page together, and actually probably could work and get more accomplished working together.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're always going to align on political and, policy-based opinions, but you can at least have conversations about them together.
Yeah.
So I think this industry is more love. I don't know if that answers your question. I think it was I was just kind of thinking as you said it.
Yeah, no worries. I'm thinking about the guys that maybe see you as a competitor and aren't necessarily the Sunruns of the world. And is there a world where you guys work together? Like you help them?
We're competitors, right? Like, roofing company A, roofing company B, they're competitors, but doesn't mean they need to not be friends or talk bad about each other.
Yeah.
The goal is we don't have a product without an industry. So to go around and badmouth our competitors really doesn't do anything unless you have proof that you should be actually saying, hey, that person is a fraud. Here's the court document that proves it.
Right. Yep.
Not there's so many. I watch some of these little forums on Facebook now, and only because it really gives me the lifeline. I really did it with the APAs. Find out that, Posigen's going out a week before they're going out, stuff like that, right?
Right.
And I really like listening to rumbling. So-and-so's not paying their bills. Well, that guy's paying me. I got to go ask some questions now.
Right.
But there is so much drama.
Yeah.
There is so much emotion and drama. And I think it's really easy when teams are losing to fight with each other.
Yeah.
I think it's really easy when things aren't positive to be extra negative. And I think this industry is fighting with each other a lot right now and trying to drown each other. And that doesn't accomplish anything.
Yeah.
So, I like to share everything we do. You've seen some of my podcasts, Nico, and we've talked, and I just shared probably 5 or 6 proprietary things
you did.
that most other people would not share.
Yeah.
You still got to show up every day and block and tackle. And we don't have the recipe for Coca-Cola here. This is a human capital business that you have to show up and execute on.
Yeah.
So I can tell you exactly how to do it. Doesn't mean you're going to do it.
I mean, this is one of the things that I really love about our conversations together, but also it's something John and I talk about a lot. I mean, he's coming to our Suncast Summit, and we're like, the whole premise behind the Power Circle that is our executive dinner that we do at RE Plus every year is like exactly what you said. Like, why can't the top solar companies be in the same room and have conversations about what is our industry narrative and how do we help one another? How does rising tide lift all boats? And have that happen not in the sort of SIA boardroom, but in a more sort of casual environment where there isn't so much muck raking. Nick, I am really grateful for the amount of time, but more than the amount of time, the quality of time that you've spent with us today. I genuinely appreciate what you are about and what you're doing. When we look out over the arc of EnergyAid, what will have changed as a result of the work that you're doing?
We're doing our part, right? Like, we're not Elon Musk. I'm not putting humans on Mars and robots, but I think it's important that the power infrastructure. And if you were to go look at and just throw a random percent, let's just say 25% of systems that were put in and the billions of dollars we spent putting them in aren't paying anything back. So there's some type of issue where 20% of the performance we thought we were going to get isn't happening. Well, if we can go help that by educating the market and doing our part and increasing that 2, 3, 4, 5, 6% nationwide, and maybe 10% 3 years earlier than it would have hit 10%, that's a huge impact to the world and the infrastructure. Maybe I can do my part by trying to grow that sooner so that I can help Elon do what he does best and not focus on solar panels and go focus on putting us on Mars, because I'm not capable of doing that and Elon is.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to help Elon put us on Mars.
Nick, I'm encouraged that in the pioneering ways that you are approaching business, you are helping redefine the customer relationship that our industry has with homeowners. And that matters. It matters at a time where solar and renewables are being proffered as unreliable, unrealistic, a waste of investment, a waste of time. And we have an obligation as an industry to do the work to get out ahead of that and to change the narrative. And I want to thank you for taking us inside the playbook for how EnergyAid is not only landing at the top of the Inc. 5000, but landing thousands of customers in the process.
Appreciate it, Nico. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you so much. We'll see you again soon.